We're here at the Sydney Zebra App Forum, and joining me is Drew Ellers, the Global Futurist at Zebra Technologies. Drew, thanks for joining me.
How you doing, Andrew?
Great. Now, what is this App Forum concept all about?
App Forum is a unique experience, right? It's a very collaborative environment, very intimate, so it's small, and it's really about bringing our full ecosystem together. So you've got the greatest minds from Zebra, the greatest minds from our partner ecosystem, and then from our customers. So you really get a flavor for all the segmentations. And what we're doing is we're sharing all the future technology and current states, and we're identifying different kind of problems and kind of figure out what are some use cases that we can attack together jointly and help solve and drive further value both for our workers on the front line, but also for our customer experiences in the retail settings and the other areas that we're working with in the core verticals.
And the App Forum has been travelling all around the globe. What are some of the key takeaways for the participants that have been there?
Yeah, it's interesting. So our first one was in Warsaw, Poland. This one's obviously here in Sydney. Good day, mate, right? Bonza. Yeah, fair dinkum, right?
Yeah.
All those good things in Sydney. And then we're going on to Beijing after this, and then we're going to Vegas in North America and Latin America in October. So it's kind of been a key takeaway perspective so far with the first two, since we're almost at closure of this one in Sydney, is really the excitement around taking more of the development off the device layer in cloud enabling it, right? Which opens up a ton of different use cases on how we can solve things, not only with devices and instrumenting the different environments and capturing the data, but now we can actually drive insights in the cloud and drive that in further applications that are cloud enabled to now develop the kind of that next gen. So it's really kind of four different quadrants, right? So usually people on our data journey are either in descriptive analytics, which is kind of like, hey, what's kind of happening? And then you've got diagnostic analytics that says, hey, what happened and why? And then you've got predictive analytics, where it's just like, hey, I can predict something at a very high confidence level that it may happen. And now I've got prescriptive analytics, right? And there's different people all along the journey. So now enabling those different use cases depending upon what you're trying to solve for. So that's been kind of one of the key takeaways and one of the exciting topics that we talked about.
The world is changing a lot. There's a lot of competition in a lot of sectors, in retail, in the supply chain. Moving towards 2020, what are some of your tips for IT managers to really look at as we move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think that we're almost in this transformational journey, right? Where we're actually rethinking the way that our mindsets are. And before, we kind of attack things as throwing technology at it, right? And we'd think about, hey, I need mobile computing, and then now I think that we have to actually reverse and kind of slow down to speed up and rethink our mindsets and start thinking about, hey, what problem am I trying to solve for? And then what are those outcomes that I want to achieve? And then backing in from an ecosystem approach back into the technology. So kind of reversing it and coming into a data first mentality and trying to figure out what that problem is to be solved and what those outcomes that we want.
There's a lot of talk about data. Now, how is data going to impact the human experience?
Yeah, I think that with the data being the new device, right, and everything, the excitement that we're talking about at App Forum today, I think that if you look at that, it's going to affect it in several different ways, but in all positive ways. And I think that the first thing is it's going to enhance the worker experience. If you take, for example, a warehouse worker that on average walks 5 to 12 miles per day, now, if you can bring in a scenario where you've actually bring in a robot that's being driven by data and machine learning intelligence, you can actually do a cobot scenario, right? Where they're both operating in a data convergence environment. And so now that worker can stay put, not walk those 5 to 12 miles, and they can actually do the picking, and then they can put it into the bin that the robot has. Then the robot takes off, next one comes in with the next bin. That way you're optimizing things that are going out the back door and the cross dock into the trucks and going on to the supply chain. And now this human worker sits there and they pick. So instead of spending 70% of their time walking around the warehouse, now they can stay in the workflow and be more intelligently optimized within the edge workforce from that. And it's really about the data being driven about the robot, and then the data going across in the picking scenarios that they have. And then also, as you think about the way that we can use data today and having it cloud enabled, versus it just being at the edge, now that we've abstracted it and we can aggregate it and democratize that data through Savannah, now we can actually take that and develop different applications that are using real-time data to bring it back into the workflow and drive a deeper, richer worker experience. And then also in a retail setting, what it can do is it convert that worker into somebody that is now a knowledge worker. And as you bring in different scenarios such as enhancing a customer experience, so if you have a high value customer that you know that has opted into your store application through data privacy action, right? And now you have them on-prem, now that knowledge worker can get a notification saying, hey, Andrew's in the shop, he's a very well-known shopper, he's there all the time, I want you to intercede in how you can help him today. So now you actually drive the intelligence to the worker, but now you're enhancing that customer experience at the same time. So depending upon warehouse or retail, it can just enhance that customer experience and that worker intelligence that you have to deliver that experience.
So if you weren't able to attend an upcoming app forum, where can you go to access more information about some of the things that you've been talking about and some of the developments at Zebra?
Yeah, the cool thing is that we did a global launch in June, on June 4th at the Warsaw App Forum, and it was a global launch in nature. So we launched the first Savannah Data Services. So that would be the first foundational APIs with blockchain traceability and barcode intelligence and a few other foundational items. And then we also launched a unified digital portal, developer.zebra.com, where you can actually go on and you can engage, you can get all the API keys that you want, depending upon the use case you're trying to solve for and what you want to develop. And then you can also go on and there's an entire forum on there. So we know that sometimes developers like to work late hours with the Red Bulls and caffeinated, and they want to go on and they want to find out and go peer-to-peer and say, hey, I'm trying to solve for this with RFID application, or I'm trying to develop this application within the warehouse. Have you done that before? What have you done? And they can actually go back and they can do peer-to-peer support right on the forum too. So not only does it have the API documentation, but it has a whole community. So you can join that digital community and it's open 24/7. So feel free to engage with that. It's developer.zebra.com.
Thank you, Drew. Well, as you can see, there's a lot going on here at the App Forum and at Zebra. If you want to find out more, don't forget you can also visit zebra.com. Bonza.
Bonza, mate.